Welcome to World Rare Coins, the ultimate place where small change turns into big treasure. If you love rare and valuable US coins, you're in the right spot. Let's uncover the hidden gems hiding in your pocket change. Top 1 today, we are talking about the Maryland 2000. You might shrug it off, thinking it's just another ordinary coin. But what if I told you this simple, everyday quarter might be worth more than most people's cars, even homes? Stay with me. Because today, we're diving deep into the story of the United States Maryland State Quarter from the year 2000, a coin that's turning heads and catching serious attention in the collector world. And yes, we'll reveal how certain versions of this coin have been valued at up to $84,000. You heard that right, but let's not rush ahead just yet. Let's first understand where this coin came from, why it was made, and what makes it so incredibly special. In the year 1999, the U.S. Mint launched something revolutionary, the 50 state quarters program. For 10 years, they released 5 new quarters each year, each one representing a different U.S. state. It was more than a coin series, it was a nationwide celebration of America's heritage, and it inspired millions of Americans to become coin collectors almost overnight. One of those coins came out in the year 2000. It was dedicated to the state of Maryland, known as the Old Line State, a nickname earned for the brave soldiers of Maryland who held the line during the American Revolutionary War. This quarter wasn't just currency, it was history pressed into metal. Now picture the coin. On the reverse side, you see the Maryland State House Dome, one of the oldest state capitol buildings still in legislative use. Framing it are branches of white oak, the official state tree. The design is elegant, detailed, and rich with symbolism. It says the Old Line State and proudly displays the year 2000. On the obverse side, of course, is the familiar profile of George Washington. At first glance, this coin seems just like millions of others. And it's true, millions were minted. But what sets a few of these coins apart from the rest is what makes this story so incredible, because here's where it gets really exciting. Some Maryland quarters from the year 2000 were struck with rare minting errors. And it's these very mistakes that have made certain coins worth a staggering fortune. You see, in the world of numismatics, that's the study and collection of coins, an error is not always a flaw. It's a gem, a rare anomaly, something that wasn't supposed to happen. And the Maryland quarter has several known variations that have collectors eagerly searching through their change. One type of error is what's called a double die, where the coin's design was struck twice, causing a noticeable doubling of letters or images, especially around the words Liberty or In God We Trust. These are rare and extremely collectible. Another known error involves off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned, partially missing from the coin. Then there are planchet errors, where the coin was struck on the wrong metal blank, or the thickness of the coin is incorrect. And there's even something called the clad layer error, where part of the nickel coating separates or is missing entirely, revealing the copper core underneath. These are visually striking and immediately get a collector's heart racing. And let's not forget about proof-like errors, where a coin intended for circulation has an unusually shiny, mirror-like surface similar to proof coins struck for collectors. These rare finishes sometimes slip into public circulation, often mistaken for ordinary quarters. The truth is, the average person might never notice these errors. But a trained eye, or even just a curious one, could be the difference between spending 25 cents and holding something that's worth tens of thousands of dollars. Now, you may be wondering, why would someone pay so much for a quarter? Well, in the collector's world, rarity meets condition. The fewer of a particular error coin that exist, the more valuable they become, especially when found in uncirculated or mint condition. Combine a rare minting error with pristine quality, and you have a once-in-a-lifetime coin. There are coin shows, auctions, and private sales where collectors are eagerly bidding for that one special piece to complete their set, or to claim a coin that's almost mythical in its scarcity. And when it comes to state quarters, the Maryland 2000 quarter is near the top of the most wanted list. So, what should you do? Well, the next time you're going through your change, take a closer look. Pull out any 2000 Maryland quarters. Examine the edges, the surface, the details. Use a magnifying glass if you have one. Look for signs of doubling, unusual luster, or anything that just looks off. And if you think you found something special, don't just spend it. Get it checked by a professional coin appraiser or submit it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. You might be holding on to a treasure and not even know it. Now, the moment you've been waiting for. Some rare versions of the Maryland 2000 state quarter, especially those with confirmed and significant minting errors. have been valued at a jaw-dropping $84,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. What started as a simple 25-cent coin has turned into a life-changing find for a lucky few. And the best part, these coins are still out there. In wallets, in jars, in collections forgotten in dusty attics. One of them might be sitting right in your pocket right now. So don't just walk past your change. Take a second look. That ordinary quarter might be your extraordinary discovery. Top 2, we're exploring the 1983 United States of America Washington quarter dollar. This coin might seem ordinary at first glance, but the truth is, it's anything but average. Now, before you rush off to check your piggy bank or coin collection, sit tight. Because what we're about to uncover might change the way you look at your spare change forever. If you love history, mystery, and a bit of treasure hunting, then this video is just for you. Let's take a moment to go back in time to the year 1983. Ronald Reagan was president. The Cold War was in full swing, and the United States was riding waves of economic recovery and cultural change. But behind the headlines and the pop music hits of the day, something unusual was happening at the U.S. Mint, something that would go unnoticed by the general public but would eventually capture the attention of serious coin collectors across the country. The Washington quarter had been around since 1932, originally minted to celebrate the 200th birthday of George Washington. The design, featuring a bold and proud bust of Washington facing left, was created by John Flanagan and quickly became one of the most recognizable coins in American pockets. By 1983, the design had remained largely unchanged, but the context and conditions of minting had shifted, and that's where the story begins. In 1983, the United States Mint produced quarters at 2 locations, Philadelphia and Denver. You can tell the difference by looking for the small mint mark on the coin. A P indicates it was struck in Philadelphia, and a D means it came from Denver. Now, here's the kicker. 1983 is one of the few years during which no official mint sets were released to the public. This may not sound like much at first, but it's a huge deal for collectors. Because there were no mint sets for 1983, finding a quarter in truly pristine, uncirculated condition is incredibly difficult. Almost all of these coins went directly into circulation, where they were exposed to wear and tear, pocket scratches, vending machines, and time. That means a 1983 quarter in top condition is automatically rare, and that's before we even get into the errors and varieties. So let's talk about what makes some of these coins even more special. First, there's the now famous Spitting Eagle variety. Found on the reverse side of some 1983 Philadelphia minted quarters, this variety shows what looks like a line or raised flaw extending from the eagle's beak, almost like the bird is spitting. This wasn't a design choice. It's actually a die crack that occurred during the minting process. Coin collectors love this kind of variety because it's a clear, visible error that's unique to a specific production batch. Then there are examples of off-center strikes, where the coin wasn't properly aligned during minting, leading to a design that appears shifted or incomplete. These coins are visually striking and can be worth significantly more depending on how dramatic the error is. Another factor that adds to the rarity of the 1983 Washington quarter is the presence of clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin's edge is missing due to a mistake in cutting the coin blanks. If the date and critical features are still visible, these can be quite valuable. Collectors also look for quarters with die cracks, double die errors, and struck-through errors, where foreign material gets between the die and the coin blank, leaving an impression. These rare flaws make a coin unique, and when combined with the already limited availability of uncirculated 1983 quarters, it's no wonder some of these specimens are worth serious money. Now, let's not forget about grading. A 1983 quarter in poor condition, even with a minor error, won't fetch much more than its face value. But a quarter in mint state, especially one that has been professionally graded by organizations like PCGS or NGC, can multiply in value rapidly. The higher the grade, say MS65, MS67, or higher, the more desirable it becomes. And if you combine that with a known error or variety, then you're looking at a collector's dream. Here's where it gets even more exciting. Because of the rarity of well-preserved 1983 quarters, some collectors and investors are willing to pay a premium for the best examples. Not long ago, a remarkable 1983 Washington quarter struck in Philadelphia, featuring the Spitting Eagle variety and an extremely high mint state, was sold in an auction that left jaws on the floor. But before we get to the incredible value that one of these quarters reached, let's take a moment to appreciate what makes coin collecting so thrilling. It's not just about the monetary value. It's about the hunt, the history, and the chance that something ordinary could be extraordinary. The 1983 quarter represents a perfect storm of scarcity, error potential, and historical significance. For many collectors, it's a white whale, a reminder that even modern-looking coins can be worth digging through your change for. Every time you pay for a coffee, drop a coin into a vending machine, or cash out your tip jar, you could be passing by one of these hidden treasures. And the thought that one small quarter, overlooked by millions, could be a rare and valuable piece of American history, that's what keeps the community of collectors searching. Now, here comes the moment you've been waiting for. One of these rare 1983 Washington quarter dollars, featuring a highly sought-after mint error and preserved in superb condition, was once sold to an enthusiastic collector for the unbelievable amount of $81,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single 25-cent coin. Sold for 81,000 United States dollars. So, the next time you hear that familiar jingle in your pocket, don't ignore it. Take a closer look. You just might be holding a hidden gem that the rest of the world missed. And remember, treasure doesn't always come in gold and diamonds. Sometimes, it comes in copper and nickel. Top 3, we're peeling back the layers of time to take a closer look at a coin that you've probably seen dozens of times, but may have never truly examined. It's the 1973 Washington quarter dollar from the United States of America. You might think it's just another piece of loose change. But what if I told you that under the right circumstances, this small coin could be worth more than you ever imagined? So stick around, listen closely, and enjoy this deep dive into a coin that could change your view of everyday money. Because this isn't just about a coin, it's about history, mystery, and the incredible value hiding in plain sight. Let's rewind the clock to 1973. It was a time of transition and tension in the United States. Richard Nixon was president, the Watergate scandal was just beginning to unfold, and the Vietnam War was nearing its end. While all eyes were focused on politics and protests, something quietly significant was happening at the U.S. Mint. The Washington quarter, already a staple in the hands and pockets of Americans for over 4 decades, was being struck for yet another year. But not every 1973 quarter was created equal. The Washington quarter has always held a strong place in American coinage. First introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, the quarter featured a strong, noble profile of the first U.S. president facing left. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, the image was both respectful and enduring. It quickly became a classic. And by the time 1973 rolled around, the Washington quarter had already become a reliable, everyday item in American life. But here's where things get interesting. In 1973, quarters were minted at 3 major U.S. mint locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins minted in Denver and San Francisco have a small D or S mint mark, respectively, which you can find on the obverse side of the coin, just to the right of Washington's ponytail. Coins from Philadelphia that year carried no mint mark at all. Most of these coins were mass-produced and entered circulation quickly. They were handed out as change at gas stations, dropped into vending machines, and tossed into coin jars across the nation. But as collectors know, it's not just about the number of coins produced. It's about how they were made, how they've survived, and whether any special features make them stand out from the crowd. And this is where the 1973 quarter becomes a true hidden gem. Let's talk rarity and errors. Because while millions of 1973 quarters were minted, only a small number contain rare features or errors that send collectors into a frenzy. One of the most fascinating errors that occasionally appears on 1973 quarters is the double die variety. This happens when a coin is struck more than once by the die, creating a visible doubling of letters, numbers, or design elements. On the 1973 quarter, this might be seen in the word liberty, the motto, "In God We Trust," or even the date, 1973. These double die errors are usually noticeable under magnification, but can sometimes be seen with the naked eye. The uniqueness of each double die coin makes it extremely desirable to collectors. Another error to keep your eyes open for is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin blank, or planchet, is not correctly aligned with the die, resulting in a design that's partially missing or skewed to one side. Some off-center errors are minor, but the more dramatic and off-balance the design is, while still keeping the date visible, the higher the coin's value. Then we have the ever-intriguing clipped planchet error. Imagine looking at your quarter and realizing a portion of the edge is missing, like someone took a bite out of it. These coins are rare, and when the clipping is clean and the date is intact, they can be worth much more than face value. In some rarer cases, 1973 quarters have been found with struck-through errors, where debris or foreign material was present on the die when the coin was struck. This results in a strange impression or texture on the coin's surface that makes it one of a kind. Die cracks, lamination errors, and even misaligned dies also contribute to the fascinating world of quarter errors that drive collectors wild. But as with all collectibles, condition plays a key role. A 1973 quarter that's been through decades of use, showing signs of heavy wear, might only be worth 25 cents. However, a coin that has never been in circulation, what collectors call uncirculated or mint state, can be exponentially more valuable, especially when paired with a rare error or variety. That's why coin grading services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, are so important. A certified grade of MS 65 or higher can take a coin's value to a whole new level. A 1973 quarter with a double die error in MS 67 condition? That's not just a coin, that's a treasure. Now, you might be wondering, if these coins are so rare, how can I find one? The beauty is, you already might have one. Many people discover valuable coins in inherited coin collections, old piggy banks, or even loose change found in car cup holders. You don't have to be an expert to get started, just an observant person with an interest in the history of our money. For coin collectors, the thrill isn't only about the potential for profit. It's about the connection to the past. Every coin tells a story. The 1973 Washington quarter tells a story of a nation in transition, a mint that quietly produced millions of coins, some flawed, some perfect, and a generation of people who never stopped to look closer. But now you know better. And for those of you who are dedicated to the hunt, who enjoy the mystery of coins and the satisfaction of discovery, here's what you've been waiting for, because there is, indeed, one 1973 Washington quarter dollar, featuring a rare and stunning mint error, preserved in almost flawless condition, that has sold for the life-changing sum of $79,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. A single, small, silver-colored quarter. Sold for 79,000 United States dollars. Oh, what are you waiting for? Dig into your change jars, look through your coin rolls, revisit your childhood collections, and check every quarter that crosses your path. You never know what kind of fortune may be hiding in the simplest, most overlooked places. Top 4, we're talking about the 1988 United States Washington quarter dollar. On the surface, it looks just like any other coin in the 25-cent family. Same design, same shine, same size. But as every true collector knows, sometimes the rarest treasures are the ones most people overlook. So buckle up and stay with us, because we're going to dive into the design, the history, the minting anomalies, and the hidden secrets of the 1988 quarter. And at the very end, we'll reveal just how much one of these coins, yes, one single quarter, has sold for. You won't want to miss it. Let's start with a bit of background. The year is 1988. America is in the final stretch of Ronald Reagan's presidency. The Cold War is nearing its close, technology is booming, and pop culture is thriving. But while the world focused on politics and progress, something quieter, but equally fascinating, was happening at the United States Mint. The Washington quarter had been in production for over 5 decades by this time. First introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, the quarter quickly became a cornerstone of American coinage. Featuring a left-facing bust of Washington on the obverse, designed by sculptor John Flanagan, the coin became a familiar sight in purses and pockets across the nation. By 1988, the design remained largely unchanged, still carrying that iconic portrait of George Washington with the word "Liberty" above, the motto "In God We Trust" on the left, and the date below. Flip the coin, and the reverse showcases a majestic eagle perched atop a bundle of arrows, symbolizing strength and vigilance, flanked by olive branches that represent peace. Now, here's where things get interesting. In 1988, quarters were struck at 2 main U.S. mint facilities, Philadelphia and Denver. Coins minted in Philadelphia bear a P mint mark, and those from Denver show a D. These mint marks can be found on the obverse, just to the right of Washington's ponytail. But even though millions of quarters were produced that year, hundreds of millions, in fact, there's a big difference between a regular circulated coin and one that collectors will pay top dollar for. Let's talk about rarity. Not in terms of how many were made, but in terms of how many have survived in exceptional condition or with unique features that set them apart. This is what gets collectors excited. And for the 1988 Washington quarter, there are several key things to look out for. First, error coins. Every now and then, the minting process doesn't go quite as planned. And in the coin world, mistakes can be gold, figuratively speaking. One such example is the double die error. This happens when a coin is struck more than once by the die, slightly off alignment, creating a doubling effect on the letters or numbers. A 1988 quarter with clear doubling on the word Liberty, the date, or In God We Trust can fetch serious interest from collectors. Then there's the off-center strike error. This is exactly what it sounds like. The coin is not properly aligned during minting, so part of the design is shifted or missing. Depending on how off-center the strike is and whether the date is still visible, these coins can be highly desirable. Another rare error found on some 1988 quarters is the clipped planchet. This happens when the blank metal disc used to make the coin was incorrectly punched, resulting in a portion of the coin being cut off. It gives the quarter a crescent moon-shaped bite taken out of it. Combine this with good condition and clear details, and you've got a collectible worth far more than face value. And we can't forget the struck-through errors. These are coins where a piece of debris, cloth, or other material got between the die and the planchet during minting. This results in odd textures, missing features, or ghost-like impressions on the coin's surface. Each one is completely unique and tells a story about the coin's journey from creation to circulation, but it's not just about the errors. Condition plays a massive role in value. Most of the 1988 quarters have been through decades of circulation. They've been spent, dropped, handled, and worn down. Finding one in pristine, uncirculated condition is no small feat when a coin is submitted to a grading service like PCGS or NGC and receives a mint state grade, especially MS65, MS67, or even higher. It becomes a serious piece for collectors. Pair that high grade with a rare error or variety, and you've got something extraordinary. You might be wondering, how do these rare coins even survive? Sometimes, they were pulled from circulation early by observant collectors. Other times, they were part of government-issued rolls or sets that were carefully preserved. However they made it, the few that exist today in top condition with distinct errors are among the most sought-after modern quarters in the hobby. And here's the most exciting part. Every single one of you watching could stumble across one of these. Whether you're checking your change at the grocery store, sorting through old coins in a family collection, or browsing rolls from the bank, the next valuable discovery could literally be in your hands. Because among the sea of ordinary 1988 quarters, a handful stand out. And one of them, graded in near-perfect condition and featuring a spectacular and well-documented mint error, was once sold in a private auction to a serious collector for the eye-popping sum of $76,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. 1 quarter, 25 cents in face value. Sold for 76,000 United States dollars. So the next time you hear that familiar jingle of change in your pocket, don't just walk away. Take a closer look. That coin might just be the rare find that changes everything. Top 5 were shining the spotlight on the 1994 United States of America Washington quarter dollar. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. It's just a quarter, right? But hold on, because by the time you finish this video, you'll realize just how exciting, mysterious, and potentially valuable this little coin can be. Let's begin with a little historical context. The year was 1994. Bill Clinton was in the White House. The world was changing fast. The internet was starting to connect people in ways no one could have predicted. Compact discs ruled the music world, the economy was strong, and the U.S. Mint was busy striking millions of coins to fuel the nation's growing appetite for commerce. One of those coins was the Washington quarter, a piece of American currency that has been in continuous production since 1932. Originally designed by John Flanagan, the quarter features a bold left-facing bust of George Washington on the obverse, with the word Liberty arching over his head, the motto In God We Trust to the left. In the year of minting at the bottom. On the reverse side of the 1994 quarter, we still see the traditional eagle design that had become a symbol of strength and stability. With its wings spread wide and perched on a bundle of arrows, the eagle is flanked by olive branches, balancing peace and readiness for defense. It's classic American iconography, and it remained unchanged until the release of the 50-state quarters program a few years later. Now here's where things get fascinating for coin collectors. In 1994, quarters were minted at both the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. You can identify which mint your coin came from by checking the small letter to the right of Washington's ponytail. A P stands for Philadelphia, and a D for Denver. But here's the thing. While millions of these coins were produced, most were used in daily transactions and subjected to decades of wear and tear. A clean, crisp 1994 quarter that's never been circulated? That's a rarity in itself. But rarity alone doesn't make a coin valuable. What truly gets collectors and investors excited are the errors, those little mistakes during the minting process that turn a simple coin into a rare collectible. And yes, the 1994 quarter has a few surprises. Let's start with the double die error, one of the most sought-after errors in all of numismatics. A double die occurs when the die used to stamp the coin shifts slightly between strikes, creating a doubling effect on the design. On some 1994 quarters, sharp-eyed collectors have spotted doubling on the word Liberty, on the motto In God We Trust, and even on the numbers and the date. If you ever come across this type of doubling, don't spend that coin. It could be worth much more than 25 cents. Another rare error to look out for is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank isn't perfectly aligned with the die during the strike. The result? A portion of the design is missing or shifted to one side. Some off-center quarters are only slightly misaligned and are worth a few bucks, but the ones that are dramatically off-center, especially those that still show the full date, can be worth a small fortune. Then there's the clipped planchet error, which occurs when the blank metal disc used to make the coin is improperly cut. This results in a noticeable chunk missing from the edge of the coin, creating a crescent moon shape. Not only do these coins look cool, but they are also rare, and depending on the severity and placement of the clip, their value can skyrocket. But one of the more fascinating and unique types of errors found on the 1994 Washington quarter is the struck-through error. This is when a piece of foreign material, like grease, string, or cloth, gets between the die and the blank during the minting process. It leaves behind an imprint or an odd pattern that can't be replicated. Each one is different, and serious collectors go out of their way to own these oddities. Now, let's talk about condition. As with all coins, grading matters a lot. A 1994 quarter that's been in circulation for years, with scratches, wear, and dings, might only be worth its face value. But a coin in pristine mint state, especially those graded MS-65 or higher by professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC, becomes much more valuable. And when you combine an ultra-high grade with a significant minting error, you're looking at something truly special. Something that could catch the attention of auction houses and elite collectors around the world. You might be asking, how many of these rare 1994 quarters are out there? And the honest answer is not many. That's what makes them so valuable. Most were never pulled from circulation. Most never received professional grading. Most just lived their quiet lives paying for soda machines and parking meters. But a lucky few have survived in perfect or near-perfect condition, and some have the kinds of errors that send values into the stratosphere. If you're sitting on a coin collection, maybe one you inherited, or maybe just one you started recently, go take a look. Examine those 1994 quarters. Look at them under good lighting. Use a magnifying glass. Check for doubling. Look at the edges. See if the strike seems off or if any parts of the design seem unusual. You never know what you might find. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for, the big reveal. Among the rarest examples of the 1994 Washington quarter, there is one coin that made headlines in the collector community. It was a Denver minted quarter with a highly visible and confirmed mint error, preserved in flawless mint state condition and professionally graded. When it came to auction, it shocked even seasoned experts. That coin sold for an incredible 74,000 United States dollars. Yes, you heard that right. One single quarter. 25 cents at face value. But thanks to its rarity, its flawless condition, and a remarkable minting error, it became worth $74,000. So the next time you find a 1994 quarter in your change, don't just toss it in a coin jar. Take a closer look. You could be holding something extraordinary. That's the magic of coin collecting. It turns the ordinary into something unforgettable. And for those who pay attention, The rewards can be life-changing. If you enjoyed this video and want to discover more hidden treasures in American coinage, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to tap the bell icon so you never miss a future discovery. There are stories in every coin, some just waiting to be told. Until next time, happy collecting, and may your next coin be a rare one.